Pregame.com.
Tuesday night, SEC action. We've got Florida traveling to Vanderbilt. I'm Marco D'Angelo. I'm joined today by Stephen Nover. We're going to break this down. Stephen, this is a huge game in the SEC. We all know Kentucky's the class. I mean, they're number one in the country. They ran away with the SEC. But this is for second place. And second place is key. Not that neither one of these teams need a win to go to the big dance. I mean, their tickets are stamped. They're playing for second place so that when they get into the conference tournament, they can avoid Kentucky until the championship game. And if something happens and Kentucky stubs their toe, then they got a chance to, win the SEC conference title with the tournament. I'm projecting this line. We're taping on Monday, guys, so this is a situation where we don't have the official line yet, but I'm expecting Vanderbilt to come out like a 3.5 point favorite in this game. You have any thoughts? I do have a side in here, and I'll give that in a second, but I'll let you open up and tell me any thoughts you have here.
Well, you mentioned Kentucky in the analysis of this game, and it is worth a handicapping factor to look at Kentucky when these Florida and Vanderbilt are involved. Florida lost by 20 to Kentucky. It surprised me. I actually had Florida as a big dog in that game. It didn't show up, and they actually have Kentucky on deck, but that game's not till Saturday, so that shouldn't be a look-ahead factor that far in advance. Now, Vanderbilt is 0-2 against Kentucky, but they should be 2-0 against the spread. They're 1-1 against the spread. They very well could have beat them at Vanderbilt, and they played them very close at Kentucky. So based on that, you have to kind of, respect Vanderbilt in this matchup based on that single handicapping factor. But I know, Marco, there's other handicapping factors too.
And actually, that factor, it's true if you go the head-to-head and look at how they played against Kentucky. Obviously, Vanderbilt's played much better. But the fact that Vanderbilt, the last game was against Kentucky on Saturday, they went into Kentucky and played Kentucky pretty tough.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be spent. Even though this is their last home game, and it's on TV. So, it's always, I like to look at teams in their last home game. We're taping on Monday. I used a game on Sunday for that reason. I liked Colorado over California in the last home game, senior night and everything. The crowd gets pumped up. You add this factor that it's on TV, going to, make it even more of a frenzied type crowd. However, coming back from Saturday to Tuesday, and playing such a monumental game against Kentucky, the premier team in the country, I just think Vanderbilt's going to be a little bit gassed here. And I think Florida got caught looking ahead on Saturday. They got upset at Georgia, played a really bad ball game, and I just don't see Florida putting together back-to-back bad ball games, especially with that big game coming up with Florida on their senior night on Saturday. I think Florida comes in here and makes a game of this. Florida, if this line comes out where I'm thinking it will, 3.5, and that might be a tad on the high side, but I'm figuring Vegas is going to overreact a little bit to Saturday's outcomes. Florida looked horrible. Vanderbilt looked really good in losing. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a bias to Vanderbilt in the line. Vanderbilt's playing with revenge, but I just see this as a dogfight going right down to the wire, and I think Florida has a very good shot at pulling the upset here.
Well, I certainly think, Marco, I agree with you, Florida will play better than they did against Georgia. That was their first game Florida played without Will Yeget. He was a key reserve, and they're not a deep team. He's probably their most versatile defender, and he's a very good rebounder, and that hurt their defense without him. He has a foot injury. He's out for the year. What kind of concerns me about Florida, Marco, is if you discount their 98-point game against Arkansas, in their last 5 games, they're averaging 62.8 points a game, and that is down from their season average, considerably. So that kind of worries me. And now they've lost this key reserve when they're only 7, 8 deep as to start with, and so I kind of have those concerns. Situationally, as a dog coming off a bad game, I think you can make a good case for Florida, but don't know if I'm going to get involved. I do have these concerns about the Gators.
Well, I can't disagree with that. I'm going to bank a little bit more on Vanderbilt coming off the Kentucky game, just being a little bit gassed, putting up such a big effort. And when you get a road dog like that goes on, into hostile territory and really, play Kentucky well, they faded at the end, but they still covered the spread. I just don't like a team like that coming back home, looking to bounce back and laying points. So that's going to put me on the road dog here, and I'm going to take Florida. Like I said, this is a key game. Both teams want it. It's not a situation where it's a throwaway game for either team because they want to lock down that second place in the SEC. We're going to go ahead and make the play. I'm going to call for Florida in a tight one. I see this as a 1 to 3 point game either way. I think Florida comes out on top. I'm going to grab the points here. Take Florida on Tuesday night on ESPN plus the points. That's my free play, not my video best bet, just a regular play. We're going to take Florida. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this one up, Stephen?
No, I think we pretty much covered this in the team's first meeting back on February 4th. Florida won 73 to 65. That was impressive in the sense Florida shot just 38.3% from the floor. Vanderbilt didn't shoot that great either. Still, they shot 41.5% and to outshoot somebody from the floor by 3 percentage points and yet lose by 8.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the SEC. You can check out all of the videos at pregame.tv all week long. We'll have the guys in all week checking out videos. And, of course, we have our mega thread in the forums. You can go to pregamevideos.com and carry on the conversation. If you have questions, you want to ask any of the pros, that's the place to do it. He's Stephen Nover. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We're going to be back. We're going to move over to Wednesday, take a look at a college basketball game and an NBA game for Wednesday. Stay tuned.